Welcome into Bears Now by Chat Sports. I'm Harrison Graham, and on today's show, we're going to answer all of your questions. So use hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions on the show, and we will answer as many of them as we can. We got Tito here saying, need Carter in the middle, dude's a savage. I love Jalen Carter. If it's Jalen Carter or Will Anderson, I mean, I'm good with either. I think both are great, so if they end up going Carter and both are available, I'm not going to complain. From Tyler Coffey, if the Bears move down to pick 5, 6, or 7, who should they take? 8, 9, or 10, who should they take 15th? I mean, that's a lot of different range. I think if it's 5 through 7, I think like a Miles Murphy, like if he's still available out of Clemson in that range. 8 through 10, I think you're getting into receiver range at that point, maybe even 7. Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison. I don't think Jackson Smith and Jigbo will go top 10. But we'll see how his combine does. 15th could be a range for Smith and Jigba maybe. Maybe Addison is still there. But, Brian Bresee is a guy I like, too, the defensive tackle out of Clemson. Maybe Paris Johnston, Peter Skoronski. So depending on, it kind of depends on that range of what you're talking about. But those are a few names in those specific ranges. From Tony Williams, Jack Sanborn has been the biggest surprise. I would agree. I mean, he was, when they signed him as a UDFA, I knew that name, and I was like, I think he could push for a roster spot. I did not think that when Roquan Smith got traded, he would come in and play awesome, and he has. I mean, he's not perfect, but he's a damn good player. He should have been drafted for sure. Like, I think he was worthy of a 4th or a 5th round pick, and I would say he's played more like a day 2 pick, 2nd or 3rd round pick. He's been that rock solid, so I like Sanborn quite a bit, and I think he's a guy that is going to be here for a while. From Jeff Wilson, and then we'll get to that super chat. Could Justin Fields be an MVP dark horse heading into next season? I wouldn't rule it out, Jeff. I mean, the raw stats this year as a passer don't jump off the page, but if you all have watched kind of his development throughout the season, I think we know he's played really well. I mean, he completed just 50% of his throws through the first 4 games. So the fact that he's almost at 62% means that he's completed well over 65 since those 4 games. We know how special he is as a runner as well. I think he's getting more and more comfortable as a passer. If this O-line continues to improve, if he gets another few weapons on offense, I don't see why he can't. I'm not saying I would say he would win it, but I think you will see a lot of national outlets say, oh, dark horse MVP, Justin Fields. Like, the hype is going to be there. Now, will he live up to it? Will the Bears surround him with the proper pieces? Hopefully. I'll say this. I think he'll play at a good enough level where if the right pieces are in place, this team's going to be winning games next year. Will Justin Fields be an MVP candidate in 2023? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I wouldn't say like a top MVP candidate going into the year, but like second tier, I could see it. I actually could see it. Y for yes or N for no. Twin Quiz, would you take a dub against the Eagles, or are you sticking to draft position? I'd take the dub personally. I mean, look, if they beat the 12-1 Eagles legitimately and outplay them, and Justin Fields outplays Jalen Hurts, like, am I going to complain? No, I'm not. But I think they're in a position, especially these next 2 weeks against Buffalo the next week as well. If Justin Fields outplays Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen and wins the game, that is a positive. Now, it hurts the draft positioning, but that is still very much a positive. I'm not actively rooting against the Bears, but don't get me wrong. If they go 0-4, they're guaranteed a top 3 pick. That's a good thing as well. So I think they're in a good spot. I think you obviously play to win, and if you're the coaching staff, we know they're going to do that, and, we'll see what happens as we get there. I will say this. If they lose the next 3 games, Week 18 against Minnesota, I think that could be a scenario where you lay down, right? Like, you don't want to win against Minnesota in a pointless game in Week 18 if that is the difference between, say, the 2nd pick and the 5th pick. Like, the stakes are too high. So I think that could be an example of where you're actually, like, not trying to win. Ashton Cooperation, Teven Jenkins has been tearing it up low-key. Look, to me, the Bears' offensive line right now, you have 2 guys for sure that are starters next year. To me, Braxton Jones has done enough. He is my starting left tackle next year. Now, could there be a scenario where they get a left tackle and move him to right if they think he can play right? Yeah, that's possible, but I think he's a starter no matter what. Probably at left tackle, maybe right, we'll see. And I think Teven Jenkins at right guard, and I would keep him at that position. He's comfortable. He's good in the run game. He can move. Those two guys are locks. Center and right tackle, very much question marks. Left guard, do you keep Whitehair or do you cut him? That's the big question. BetUS, the place to go gamble on NFL games, college football games, NBA, college basketball, and every other sport that's going on at the time. Go to chatsports.com/Bears. Use promo code BEARDOWN to get 125% deposit bonus. That means if you put down $100, they will give you an additional $125 for free. It's the best sports book deal out there with BetUS. And this weekend, Bears 10-point underdogs at home against the 12-1 Philadelphia Eagles. I actually like the points here. Bears coming off a bye. I think they cover the 10. Now, I wouldn't say they win. I did say in the office, though, I said, you know what? I wouldn't be completely shocked if the Bears did win this game. I'm not picking it. I think Philadelphia wins. They seem like a team on a mission, but could they overlook the Bears? Bears coming off a bye, going to be a little bit healthier, more energetic. Big game at home. It wouldn't shock me. I wouldn't pick it, but I do think I'd pick them to cover. Chatsports.com/Bears. Promo code is BEARDOWN. Ryan Gardner, top second-round prospect. That's a good question. How about like a Josh Downs, the receiver out of North Carolina, Drew Sanders, the linebacker out of Arkansas. Now, both of those guys could sneak into round one, depending on how the next few months go, the combine, all that good stuff. Those are a couple of names to monitor, though, there in the second round. Other second-round guys, I'd have to look and kind of, take a deeper dive. But those are two names that I would keep in mind. William Bomer, thoughts on Josh Jacobs, and should the Bears go out and get him? Josh Jacobs, a free agent, certainly a franchise tag candidate for the Raiders, but him and Saquon Barkley and Miles Sanders are kind of the three big, and I'll throw Montgomery in there, the big free agent running backs. So, if the Bears want a different back than Monty in free agency, Jacobs is out there, who's having a hell of a year. Saquon is out there, Sanders. So it'll be interesting to see how the running back market plays out, because you know how this goes. As time has gone on, running backs don't make as much money, but I do think the crop this year is pretty good, and some money will be thrown around. If Alex Leatherwood finishes out strong, would you consider him a building block like Jenkins and Jones? It's tough to say. Now, here's what I will say, and I said this on a video the other day. He should start the final 4 games. Matt Eberflus was non-committal to that on Monday in his press conference. Depending on when you're watching this, maybe he's commented further. But I would start him the final 4 games, assuming he is physically up to it. Apparently, him coming off that mono has been a real challenge. He lost 25 pounds. It's taken a while to get back up to speed. But if he starts and plays well over the final month, I don't know about building block. It would be a smaller sample size, but could you go into the offseason saying, okay, we don't know for sure if he's a building block, but we at least feel pretty good if he's the weak link at right tackle? That's good enough. Like, say you invest in center instead and maybe left guard. I'd be okay with that, but we got to see it. We got to see him play over the final 4 games and see how it goes. Now, if you're a die-hard Bears fan, I'm talking a lifer, you love this team, subscribe to the channel because we bring the passion around this football team. We've done a ton of, draft videos, free agency stuff, looking ahead to the offseason, but also keeping up with what's happening here and now. Still 4 games to go. We got you covered on all that with the latest news, rumors, and injury updates. So subscribe right now, and we will continue to keep you guys in the loop here on Chicago Bears Now. All right, guess who? Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields? Lawrence has been hot, man. I will say this. I think, looking back at that draft right now, and this is how I had it too, it's Lawrence and Fields at the top, whichever order you want, different styles, and then there's a big drop-off. Trey Lance, we have barely seen play. Mac Jones is decent. He's decent. He's had some success. I think he's more of a game manager. Like, I think you really need to have good pieces around him to flourish. He just doesn't have the talent that Fields and Lawrence has, but he's been solid. And then who am I missing? Mills stinks. And then Zach Wilson, he's fraudulent. So, I think Lawrence and Fields have franchise quarterback, all-pro potential. I think Mac Jones could be, like a 10-year starter, a solid player. Trey Lance is a wild card. I think he's got upside, but we just haven't seen it. Mills is cooked, and Zach Wilson is a fraud. So there you go. Philip Pombasano, would you pick an O-lineman in the first 12 picks? Very specific. I like Skoronski. I like Paris Johnston. Broderick Jones out of Georgia is an interesting player, but I don't know. Maybe it would be closer to 12 than 1, that's for sure. Like, I'll put it this way. If the Bears have a top 5 pick, I'm not drafting an offensive lineman there if they don't trade down. Now, if you trade down to 10, get, the 10th pick and, first next year or something like that, then yeah, you could take an offensive lineman there. But I don't think a lineman goes top 5 in this draft. Maybe one goes top 10. That's probably how we're looking here. All right, when is your birthday? We want to know when your birthday is. I'm November 1st. I think I know Jack's September 28th. When is it? 23rd. September 23rd, producer Jack. When is your birthday? Let us know in the comments. From Nicholas Selvey, which teams could you see to trade with the Bears for a quarterback? Oh, you mean like in the draft, like trade up. So let me pull up Tankathon real quick because this is always a fun exercise. So right now, teams behind the Bears that could use a quarterback. Lions. Would I trade with the Lions? Probably not. You look at Indianapolis, number 7 pick right now. They're a prime team that could move up for a quarterback. Carolina, number 9 pick. They're a prime team. Raiders, I mean, they can cut Derek Carr with no penalty, so they could be a team that moves up. Atlanta could certainly be a team. Houston, again, with the 12th pick. If they did something crazy and drafted Jalen Carter, number 1, or Will Anderson, because they think they can get back into the top 5, that could be a possibility. Would Pittsburgh do it? I think they'll give Pickett another year probably. Seattle at 17. If Seattle, who's currently at 2 via the Broncos pick, say the Broncos win a game or 2 and they pick, 5, 6, 7, 8, that could be a team as well. So there are teams that will be calling to move up to draft a C.J. Stroud or a Bryce Young, depending on where the Bears pick. So it's out there. Teams will exist in that QB market. Peloton, what about Elton Jenkins if Green Bay lets him go? Hell yes. I put him in my perfect offseason plan video. Go watch it, subscribe, go to the video tab. I would love to sign Elton Jenkins. Go sign him to play right tackle or guard. That's the thing about him. He can play all 5 spots. So if you think Alex Leatherwood is the answer, you can sign Jenkins to play left guard. If you want to cut Cody Whitehair, he can play there. Now, would I make him my full-time center? Probably not, but he can play center too. He could be your backup, He could have that flexibility where, hey, we don't think you're a full-time center, but if we sign you, you're going to be the backup as well at that position and start at one of the other spots. So love Elton Jenkins. Love the versatility. Subscribe to the channel because if you want to be a part of these mailbags, you got to subscribe and join us every single Tuesday, 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central Time is when we answer your questions. So be sure to do that and join the movement here at Bears Now.